Hey guys, welcome back. I decided, I'm putting the engine in a few hours here. I decided I'm going to put the brake booster on now. I think it's just going to be easier. I have a little time to spare, so I'm going to get that on, and I want to change this rag joint on the steering. The original brake booster had these two studs came out of the firewall, and then on the original brake booster, it actually had studs on it that went into the firewall, and the nuts went on the backside. So what I did was I shoved two bolts through from the backside, which I'm sure those will probably push back through and I'll have to do it again. But for now, I'll see if I can slide this on and at least get a couple nuts on it to hold it in place. I'm gonna put a nut and a lock washer. So we'll get this slid on. When this was shipped, this bracket is bent right here, so this is tweaked. So I need to straighten that out, but it'll be easier to do once it's bolted onto the car. Maybe I'll get lucky. Oh, it looks like one of them. Sometimes it's hard doing this stuff by yourself, but usually I figure it out. Okay, I got two started. One of the bolts pushed back into the firewall, so I have to go underneath there and push it back through. I'm actually going to do that now before I start tightening it, because it might tweak it. And use an open end wrench because I don't think a ratchet's really going to fit in there well. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these other three, and then I'll be back and we'll straighten out that part, and then we'll look at the brake line. Okay, that's all tightened up. Let's see if I can straighten this bracket back out. pretty good there. Okay, so this could be my front brakes. This will be the rear. Don't know if this one's long enough or not. Might have to get a longer one. Actually, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, it's marked front. Wonder why it would be a 3/16 line. Just see here. Yeah, showing 3/16. I'm gonna have to do some investigating on that because this is 3/16. This right here is quarter. Maybe because it was drum brakes, they used a bigger line. Because this is quarter that goes across to the other side, but then it goes to 3/16 to the drum, 3/16 to this drum, and then 3/16 to the back. So might even just have to get an adapter. Well, I'll have to worry about that afterwards. But for now, at least this is on. That's all tightened up for now. So next we can do this rag joint here. Oh, also with the kit, it came with a new end for the brake pedal. I'll stick this in the car. Now on this rag joint, I'm gonna just kind of line that steering wheel up straight, and the front wheels are straight right now. So hopefully I can take this thing apart and try to keep it oriented the same so that the steering wheel isn't crooked from the wheels. But we'll have to see what happens with that. I was looking at the instructions here on this brake booster kit, and it says right here, which I'll have to do that once I get underneath the car here, but it says right here, make sure the push rod from the booster is straight and mark the brake pedal with a new hole. It says you must drill a new hole in the brake pedal about 1 inch below the old pedal hole. And that kind of makes sense because this brake booster is kind of going at an angle, and the other one was kind of more straight into the car. So I could see how that's going to be lower. So that's good to know with that. So now I got to get a wrench, and we'll start taking apart this rag joint here. That's a 1/2 inch. I don't know if I'll be able to slip this apart or not. That's a mess. Okay, there's play. Should be able to get it out and get the new one in. This thing's just deteriorating. These things are stuck. Leave that one on a little bit, so I'm going to have to turn the steering to get to this other side, and then we'll have to straighten it back out again. This side will take out all the way. These are all garbage. Go grab a hammer so I could tap that out. to break this bolt free. And I don't know how hard that's going to be to get out. Good thing is this bolt is basically straight up and down. So hopefully I could should just reference right back the same way, because I believe this has a, no it doesn't. Some of these will have like a flat spot in them, and then you can put it on exactly the same. This one doesn't. So I'm gonna have to make sure that the steering wheel's straight, and I slide this on like this so that this bolt is straight up and down. They got this thing cranked on there. Can't say I've ever had one fall apart this bad. So now I gotta try to get it off of here. Hopefully it's not too hard. I might have to loosen up the steering column. Actually, I could probably loosen this nut up here, and maybe we could slide that shaft up a little higher so I can get this out. We're close, but it's just not moving enough. Let me see if I can loosen up this nut here. I'm actually going to pull this bolt out. Okay, now we're going to put the new one on with this bolt pointing upwards. That looks pretty good there. tap it on. I have to grab a socket to put in there. That thing is tight. I hate to take this bolt all the way out because I don't know how hard it'll be to get back in. But I think that's what the problem is. Well, maybe if I get it in the right spot, it should be all right. There we go. That looks good there. All right, I'm gonna mess with this and get this bolt in, and then I'm gonna clean up the bottom of this that's rusty right there. All right, I got that tightened in there. I wire wheeled and spray painted the bottom side of that. So now we gotta try to get this back together. Take the nuts off of here first. Check our steering wheel, still looks straight. And now it doesn't matter if we rotate it to get to this other nut. want to tighten it down so that you're into the past the nut a little bit, because it's a locking nut. So you want to make sure you're far enough so that that locking thread is holding. Turn it a little bit more. I still have to loosen up the drive shaft, which that I won't be able to video. It'd be too hard underneath there. Turn it back and tighten the other one up a little bit more. Okay. All right, that's all back together. I need to put a bolt in that top one. Actually, I'm gonna see if I have a new one. Okay, I have a new bolt and nut, and I'm gonna use a lock washer. They had used a flat washer. And if you guys ever look at some of these original bolts and stuff, this will focus. You see how there's these 3 slash marks? That's how the strength of the bolt. So my new one is identical. So I know that I'm using the same strength bolt as what was in there before. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this in. They had a flat washer. I'm gonna run a locking washer. There we go. So steering's all back together now. Next thing I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna get the weather stripping glued in the trunk area, because I am going to install the trunk lid later on today after we get the motor and transmission in, because I have a new tool that hooks up to the cherry picker, and it's supposed to be able to put hoods and trunk lids on by yourself. I'm a little nervous about it. I don't want to go dropping the trunk lid on the quarter panels or anything like that. So I'll have to get it all set up later and see how that works. And I'll videotape that, and we'll see how that works out. So I'm going to get ready to put this weather stripping on next. All right, I'm going to put this weather stripping on now. Sometimes I glue this, sometimes I don't. In this case, it's really tight in here, so I don't have to really worry about gluing it. I am going to glue the seam where the seam comes together. You always want to start at the bottom here and work your way around so that your seam is down here. You don't want to have a seam up there. Now there's 2 directions that this weather stripping can go in. This way, which I don't believe is the right way. It needs to go this way, so that when it goes in, when the weather stripping's in place here, when the trunk lid shuts, it folds down like this. So basically what I'm going to do is start down here, and I'm going to leave a little bit out. I'm going to let that hang out. We'll cut it straight afterwards. And then you just work it in. I always put this side under that lip first, and then tuck it in. And just work your way around. Sometimes the corners you'll need to put glue, but I don't know that I'll need to on this one. It's really tight. Different brands of weather stripping fit differently. This one seems to be nice and tight. I've had some that are really loose, and I end up having to glue the whole thing on, which is a real pain in the butt. going to keep tucking this in until I get around to the back to where I started, and then I'll turn the camera back on and I'll show you how I do that seam. Okay, I made it back around to the other side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one right in the center of this V. Just try to cut it as straight as I can. Shove this one in. Then I'm going to mark this other side. I'm actually going to cut it a little bit long. Then I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two loose, and I'm going to put, this is 3M black super weather stripping adhesive. I'm going to put some on the seam. I have a new tube. I just was trying to use up the rest of this one if it's still good. Yep, it's all right. So I'm going to put some on each side of the seam. You got to let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then you can stick the two together. And then I'm going to put a little bit in the channel of the car on both sides. Stuff's a mess. So I'll let that sit for about 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll stick it together. Okay, now I'm going to push it down into place. Trim it a little bit. Okay, that's it. So that's in. It's got a pretty nice tight seam. Just got to wipe the weather stripping down, and then later on I'm going to put the trunk lid on once I'm done with the motor. Okay, I'm going to put the starter on. I'm kind of jumping all over the place today because I'm trying to get some stuff done until my buddy shows up to help me with the motor here. So I'm just trying to knock out some stuff ahead of time. I got a remanufactured starter here. We're going to put this on. This takes 2 bolts from this side, and I think that's the wrong size bolt. Oh no, I think that's right. And then it takes a bolt from this side. Which I might have to adjust it a little bit. We're hitting the block right there. I might have to loosen that adapter plate up and move it over. So I might have to loosen that and then re-torque it down. I guess these are all 3/8. I thought they were 5/16 and a 3/8, but it looks like all 3 of them are 3/8. Okay. I gotta go grab some more 3/8 bolts and see if I can adjust this down a little bit. Okay, so what was hitting was this part right here, this ear on the starter. I had to take my grinder on the floor right there and just take a little bit off that ear just to get it to rotate the rest of the way. It was literally just a tiny bit. Now I'm just spraying a little bit of paint on there just because I don't want it to rust. Okay, now that paint's dried for a couple minutes, go ahead and put this on. The one in the back This one's a longer bolt than the other two. So let's get started. It's kind of hard with this motor spinning around on me. I have to touch up the paint right there, I nicked it. When I took the starter off, they did not have any shims between it. So we're just going to put it on without shims and we'll see what it sounds like. I don't want to tighten that all the way yet. Got one more to put in down here. Okay, I got this one started. I'm going to go ahead and get these tightened up. Okay, starter is all bolted on. Now I'm going to put this blow-by tube on. This goes in the back of the motor here, and then we got to line this bolt up. This actually presses into the motor, and the bolt will tighten it in there. We're going to get this in the center. There we go. And I got to check and see if there's another bracket that holds it at the bottom. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to tighten this yet until I see if there's something that holds that down there. Okay, I don't think there is anything that I have a 283 sitting over there. It has the same tube, but on the 283, the tube's on the top of the intake and it bolts down rather than through the back. And that one doesn't have a bracket down here. The only thing that that one has is a bracket welded to here that the spark plug wires are attached to. But this doesn't have that, so we're just going to go ahead and tighten it up. And if I find out that there's a bracket, I'll put it on after it's in the car. But I don't think, I think it just sits there against the motor. So there we go. I don't want to over tighten it because somebody's already crushed this a little bit from tightening it. So that's on. Next step will be the transmission. I need to take this bolt out and put a shorter bolt in over here so that this doesn't hit the firewall when the motor's going in. So I have to change that. I gotta get the starter bolt or the transmission bolted on, which I probably won't show that because I'm gonna have to have help doing that. I gotta put the torque converter on. I gotta put the torque converter bolts back into the flywheel, flex plate, whatever you want to call it. Flywheel's usually on a stick. Flex plate is for automatic transmission. I just call them all flywheels. So that's what I gotta do. And also I have to clean the transmission cooler lines because those, I believe there's a clip on the side of the transmission that they mount to and then they go down the side of the motor. So I need to wire wheel those up because they were kind of dirty before. Okay, I got one of the transmission cooler lines right here. They're in good shape, they're just a little dirty. I'm gonna run them on the wire wheel here. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Just gonna sit here and you can buy new ones of these, but these are in good shape, so we're reusing them. So I'm just gonna run it on the wheel just to clean it up just like that. And either I'm gonna spray some clear coat on it, just some satin clear coat, or silver spray paint, I'm not sure yet. I'm probably just gonna spray a satin clear coat on them. Okay, this first one is all wire wheeled and cleaned up. I'm gonna wipe it down with some lacquer thinner and I'm just gonna clear coat it. Transmission's hooked to the motor. Cooler lines are in. It's in place. A little bit of a scratch on the valve cover I gotta fix. But other than that, it's bolted in. I have to tighten it down. and get some longer bolts for the transmission cross member. But that's gonna end this video. And I was gonna get to the trunk lid, but I think I'm just gonna do that tomorrow morning. I'm whooped. So thanks guys for watching. If you're liking what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. Have a good evening. See you guys tomorrow.